Hi everybody. Trying to configure this thing still yet. Tried to do this a couple days ago and I just ran into all kinds of problems. So I just stopped Thought I'd come back to it another day. So I'm trying it again, and and I'm still having to jump through hoops in regard to this. So it'd be nice if it was consistent. I turn it on, I set it all up and everything, so I don't have to mess around with stuff. And I spend a lot of time setting it up, and then for whatever reasons, I have to do other stuff. And right in the middle, right as soon as I start streaming it, it's like, oh gosh. Say thanks a lot. Hi, Kimberly. I'm checking the chat, folks. So just to see I could see who's here. Fortunately for me now, I kind of set it up where I can actually see how many people are viewing, and I see pretty much everything now, which is good for me. All right, for those there's 13 viewers that began to view, and then a few of you checked off, meaning you left, and there's eight of you that are currently watching. So one of the things I wanted to address is that this is relevant to everything that I've been doing, and it's bothered me for quite a long time. There's really not a whole lot of accountability online with people. They come and go, and they kind of, you know, and it makes it difficult to be able to know what to do, and it also um, affects me to wanting to do what I'm doing because, like within Patreon, as an example, where I was going with this, people don't check in. I have a few people that communicate with me pretty consistently via messaging through Patreon. And I can post something in Patreon, and usually I'll post for the members first, the paid members first. Um, and I'll just leave it, and sometimes I don't switch it over to making it available to the public. And that's because people do not respond. They they come in, and most of the people that come in are free members. Probably two thirds to close to three quarters of the people that come in, and I don't hear anything from them. And what I've noticed before, and I'm just airing this because it's important for me to say this because I don't like this idea because this has been very discouraging from the very beginning coming online. When I put together the Facebook group, which was called the Freedom Teachings, okay, initially, I archived it, or a friend of mine who was helping me with it, I couldn't deal with it anymore, archived it, and eventually I just closed it out altogether. Is because people would come in and they would take things and then they'd go put it on their own channel. And they weren't co-creating with initially why I've been doing this to begin with. From the very beginning was create community and people co-create with one another. But this online experience that I've been having is very, very few, far in between. The most smallest amount of people actually co-create. Majority of everybody else is doing their own thing. How can we ever work with one another and get anything done when everybody wants to be a lone ranger? You know, I just have such difficulty with that. So people will come in Patreon and they're not getting what they want, and they're usually free members, and they'll cancel. Or they'll come in and they'll take things and then they'll leave because things are available for download, a lot of it. And it just bothers me. It just really, really, it's very discouraging to me. Has been. I have to encourage myself 99.9% of the time. I have, look to inspire myself, and you run out of it. You run out of inspiration. You run out of all of that. And, you know, it's just tiresome. So, my intention here for this particular um, stream is to talk a little bit about the Tauren And it's activation of the Tauren is really not that complicated. If you look at, I mean, when you go into chelotic science, you can see there's a whole lot of steps for stuff. It's overkill, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe that's not a right word to use, but it's overly done from my perspective because of what I do know. Okay, and even if you look as in contrast, you look at the Hagamadi library, look at the Gnostic Gospels, and you can see they don't make things complicated in regard to going because it's all about inward. When we're talking about um, higher self, it's not higher self; it's inner self. Okay, there's nothing. It's like this extension of something outside of you. Now, this is that extension outside of you is manifest reality. Okay, in regards to how the structure works within the reality field that you may be in. But the truth is, it's a consciousness construct. So everything is internal. So when we think about outer worlds, what we want to think about is our inner aspect or inner worlds, right? So substitute the idea of higher self with inner self. It's a better way to look at it because when you look at the Gnostic Gospels, the reference is always about lessening externalization and going internal. That's how you recover. That's that's your way out of the structured system that's been controlled here. Okay? It is. It's knowing self, not knowing your identity. No, because you transcend all identity. It's about knowing who you are. I don't want to belabor that, but that is so important to understand. It's not as complicated as it's been painted out to be. All right? It has to be simple. If it is not simple, then nobody's going to get it. Right? And it's not just for the few. Part of this club mentality. All right. So, what I would like to address is just a few things because my objective here, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to make it available on Patreon. Okay? I'm not going to, I might make it available on YouTube. It does, I don't know. This is an intimate thing and it's not for everybody. I mean, it is for everybody, but most people are not interested in it. Okay? What did I, what am I meaning behind that? What I mean is most people do not want to reintegrate. They say that they do, but they really don't. They still want to stay in manifest reality, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that, okay? So, because this is intimate is what I want to share. I want to share the basic process of what I'm going to be doing and guiding through it so that you know what to expect. And if it's something you want to do, then fine. Here's the thing. You can go through the process, and if you just want to go through the process, the meaning behind what your intention and your will is what matters the most. So just going through any particular thing and going through the emotions and sort of like pressing the buttons and say, okay, let's see what this is like. That's not going to get you anywhere. You know, you might get some understanding of things, but that's not what it's about because you don't need any of this stuff to truly reintegrate. Your true aspect of reintegration is your intention and your will. If your intention is at 100% towards a desire, your will, it's going to manifest. In other words, you can transmute that quickly. Is it that easy to do? No, because there's so many attachments that one has here. So it is a process. You may want to go through it many times. Or perhaps you just want to go through it once. I don't know. It's not for me to say. All I'm trying to say is that it is intimate and it's not something I really want to share in the public realm. You know, at least not right now. I haven't even put it together yet. Everything has been composed and arranged, so to speak, but I have yet to put it together. Just because, without going into the reasons why, I just haven't done it yet. But I can say there hasn't been a whole lot of incentive for me to want to do it. I guess mainly that's the reason why I haven't done it, is because there hasn't been this co-creative participation. After 15 years online, I would think I'd have a little bit more going on than I do, but still yet. But I'm thankful for all those who have showed up here. I appreciate that, but it's important to understand with where I'm coming from with this, because it's essential. For things to advance and to move forward, there has to be co-creative activity. So let's define, shall we? Co-creative activity. It's working with your will in conjunction with other people's wills that are similar or the same thing. Okay? And that's an ongoing thing. It's not just in the moment, which it is in the moment, but it's ongoing. So within the moment means always. All right? Okay, so I'm thinking about what I should do here next. Okay, let me see. Let me go to this. All right, that's a good picture of the structure, well enough so that I can do what I'm going to do here. All right, so we're going to take a look at the basic structure here in regard to the command codes that are being used for the activation. When we're talking about command codes here, we're talking about, again, the structure. It's in reference to the structure, okay? Okay, so when we are referring to Inaka, here's the command codes for this, for the Tauren. I keep having things pop up on my computer. It always gets in the way of what I'm doing. I have to wait because there's, oh goodness gracious, come on please. Let us not do this. There we go. I have a malware, program, and it's always advertising to me, and it's always constantly popping up. It's always interfering with whatever I'm doing on the computer. It's irritating, and I can't shut it off unless I just delete the whole thing. All right. All right, so Inaka has to do with the outer surface of the structure of the Tauren, okay? And Adama is the inner mantle, okay? Also known as the flame of the Adama. So anytime you hear any of this language, remember, we're always referring to eternal life and eternal life structures. So it can be summarized completely within those terms, okay? Everything, okay? So when we're thinking, we see the use of the words flame or something like that. No, that has to do with frequency, okay? And the spectrum of frequency in relationship to the structure, okay? Because everything is held together by sound. Light is the form. That's the structure. And the code is within the vibration, all right? That's pretty obvious now for most people, I would think. Anyhow, so when we're referring to the command codes, Inaka, Adama, we're addressing the structure, okay? That's really all it is. So within visualization or just being aware, being consciously aware of it being present within you, you can feel it, okay? So the Azare, you have the monad, all right? And if you may have listened to the previous live stream that I did on this, I define that, so I don't want to necessarily go into that and rehash that at this point. If you wish, go to the live videos and you will see this very picture here for that live stream. I use that as a thumbnail, okay? And just watch that, if you will. All right. So mainly what I'm looking to do here is to focus on the affirmations. All right. Knowing what you're getting yourself into. Okay. Because again, it's all about your intention. Your will and your intention is one and the same thing. Okay. So this is what this is really about. It's about your intention, your will. So before you actually do any of this, within the process that I'm going to put together as far as with the guide for this ceremony, that's what I'm calling it. This will allow you to focus on affirmations. So we're going to break down primarily 3 affirmations that has to do with this. Okay? Okay. And we're referring to activation and connecting and going back home. That's what we're referring to, you know. The 3 affirmations, one is being the return. And within the return, you're going to go back to, you're going to reintegrate back to where you were prior coming into manifest reality. Prior to coming into manifest reality is what you're going back to, that state of being. So that's a state of innocence, you could say, prior to coming into manifest reality. So we're referring to a purity, sanctification, okay? Purity, sanctification. Sanctification means to be set apart for a very particular reason. And in this case, it has to do with your original state of being. All right? So it's about, well, again, to emphasize in a different way, I suppose, the very true nature of who and what you are. Because when you come into manifest reality, you become something other than what you were originally. You're experiencing self differently. That's the whole idea, okay? So it's about reintegration and returning back to your original state of being. That's a whole lot being said there, you know. I guess you could summarize this as being going back to the love that you've always been, which is not a love that you can really see too much of within this field. It's not something that you observe and say and put a definition behind, right? It's what you, in part, are originally. And you can brighten that spark aspect of that expression of who and what you really are here, you know, through the process of reintegration. The third aspect of this, because what I just mentioned was like one and two combination of affirmations. The third one would be the obvious one, which is releasing everything here, all your attachments of everything. What does that mean? Well, it means exactly what it sounds like. That means legacy, family, dreams, all your things, everything that you've done within manifest reality, releasing it. And this is one of the biggest things that most people are not interested in doing. They may say that they want to do it, but when it comes down to them really doing it, unless you are experiencing truly the sensation of longing within you and that connection to going back home, you're not going to want to release any of this stuff. You're just not. Because there's too many things that you're connected with. There's a sense of obligation and, being responsible to the things that you've become part of. And it runs deep, okay? It runs deep on many different levels. So that's really it in a nutshell, as far as the affirmations, which encompasses quite a bit. And you can go through the process, meaning you can, once, if you wish to do this, once I put together the ceremony and make that available, you can go through it, but it's your intention is what matters, you know? Um, at least what it'll do is it'll allow you to consider what you need to do in order to move from one stage to the other within yourself. Okay, this is basically it. That all that I really wanted to talk about. I just wanted to introduce this in a way so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Is anybody there that's watching? I can see that there's 12 people left, at least concurrent viewers. There's 12 people. A few people dropped off. That's what I'm saying. This whole thing just. I'm going to add this at the end. I'm kind of frustrated here. I mean, if that hasn't been pretty obvious from the very beginning here. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this because, number one, the system that I have, the computer system that I have, and just all things involved, the computer system, because they're switching over to Windows 11, and a lot of the older systems, which I have an older computer system, is going to become obsolete. In other words, it's not going to be able to run Windows 11, according to what I've heard, and that should be within probably like 4 months. Everything will be shifted over, and I just personally, it's just been it's like been walking up a very steep hill of this whole stuff. It's or even crawling up a steep hill for me for a lot of stuff financially and everything else. And I'm not going to frustrate this anymore. Either people will look at another person dropped off. See, I'm watching this in real time now, and now it's really this. It's really it's disturbing to me to watch how many people come in and then they drop off like that. You know, if you all want to go, you can go ahead and do it. I'm just really kind of upset now. You know, I really am. I'm just because I've been doing this for 15 years. You know, I mean, how long? Most people that I know that's been doing this, they did it for half the amount of period of time that I did it, and they quit, and they're well known. Okay, this because of this, they quit. They found a different way. Most of them came out of, you know, working with the public directly rather than this online thing. And so, you know, they tried their best, and they had a lot of people helping them in the process. I've been doing this mainly alone. It's been on my nickel for the most part for the last 15 years. So I'm pretty exhausted, is what I'm saying. I am really, really tired of this already. It's just like I've expended a lot of time and energy towards this, and it just seems to be going nowhere. And I can't do it anymore. I'm 64 years old. You know, there's a lot of things that's going on that this is not beneficial for me. You know, I've been a servant, and I really don't want to be a servant anymore. Not under these conditions. So anyhow, you know, I'm kind of flustered right now, folks. Honestly, I probably shouldn't even came on after all this trouble that I've been running into the last few days. But I'd have, and there it is. Take it for whatever it's worth. So, Tauren activation, moving from one stage to the other, co-creating with one another. All this requires responsibility and personal dedication and co-creative ability with one another. Uh, Otherwise, what's the point? You know, what's the point in all of this? I'm very, very, very upset right now. Honestly, I feel so heavy inside me right now. I just really, 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 really am tired, and I wouldn't want you to feel what I'm feeling right now because you'd want to quit everything. And this is not just recently. I can tell you that right now. I've been fighting to stay in a position to be of use, and I just don't have it to do anymore. Not under these conditions. Here, another person dropped off. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to go. That's it. I'm done. Thank you for all those who showed up and who stuck around and showed a little bit more character and integrity. Um, I'm going to bail. I'm going to take off now. I'm going to leave. I'm sorry. I have to go, but this is just too upsetting for me anymore. All right, folks. It depends on you what's going to go on. I said I was going to put together the ceremony, make it available on Patreon, which I will do. I've been meaning to do it for a while. It just hasn't been timing and circumstances just haven't been right. But once I get that done, I don't know what I'll do after that. Hopefully, I won't have to do anything. I'll just quit. But I'm very flustered right now, so I'm gonna go. I apologize, but it is what it is. What you see is what you get with me. I don't play any games with people. All right, don't have time for that. So blessings to you. All the best.